Hey there, I'm Josh from Synty Studios. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can connect Claude Code to Unreal Engine using the official MCP plugin. By the end of this tutorial, you'll know how to connect Claude Code to your Unreal Engine project. It'll be able to manipulate your scene, create tools, and more to improve your game dev workflow. Let's get started. First, we need to make sure we have Claude Code installed. The easiest way to do this is to open our File Explorer, go to our C drive, and then right-click. From there, we can click Open in Terminal. Then, we can run a script that'll automatically download and install Claude Code. I put the script in the description. Once Claude Code is installed, we can open our Unreal 5.8 project. If your project isn't 5.8, you can right-click it, go to Show More Options, and click Switch Unreal Engine Version. Select 5.8, hit OK, and then you can open your project. The Epic Games MCP plugin is only available on 5.8. Now that our project is open, we need to enable a few plugins. Let's go to Edit at the top and go to Plugins. Using the search bar, we can search for MCP. We need to enable Unreal MCP. Click Yes when it warns you that it's an experimental plugin. Next, we need to go back to the search bar and search for Toolset. Here, we need to enable all toolsets. Toolsets will allow AI like Claude Code to work within Unreal Engine. In this case, enabling all toolsets will enable most features. You can also enable specific toolsets like the Editor toolset, the Niagara toolset, and the Physics toolset. These will allow AI to work with those toolsets respectively. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to enable them all even though all toolsets is probably enough. Once you've enabled all the plugins you want, you'll need to click Restart Now to restart the engine. Once the project has restarted, we need to launch an MCP server and run the configuration. This will allow Claude Code to work with Unreal. We can use the output log for this. If you don't see the output log, you can go to Window at the top and go to Output Log. By using the output log, we can debug more easily by reading any error or warning messages. At the bottom of the output log is the command line where we can issue commands. You can also use the one at the very bottom of Unreal Engine without the output log open. We need to launch our MCP server. Type ModelContextProtocol.StartServer, all one word. We can see in the output log that it launched the server successfully. We now need to configure it for Claude Code. Type ModelContextProtocol.GenerateClientConfig space Claude Code. If you use an AI other than Claude, you can configure for that instead as well. We can see that it succeeded. I'm now going to switch to Claude Desktop so I can use Claude Code. You don't need Claude Desktop, you can use the command line interface if you want. Also, near the end of the video, I'll show you how you can use Claude within Unreal Engine itself. With Claude Desktop open, we need to make sure we're under the Code tab. We also need to add the project folder to the session. Click the button here to add a new folder. Then, find the root folder of your current Unreal project. Once you've found that, click Select Folder, and then go back to Claude Desktop. Choose to trust this workspace. Also, at the bottom left, you can change the permissions mode to auto mode if you want. This will make it so you don't need to constantly accept permissions. We should now be good to go. I'm going to verify that by saying hi to Claude and asking if he can see my active Unreal Engine session. After briefly thinking, Claude is going to let us know that he can indeed see the active Unreal Engine session. He's going to let us know what level is open, the Unreal Engine version, and which toolsets he sees available. To test Claude out, I'm going to paste a prompt I made. The prompt is going to ask Claude to create a button at the top toolbar that lets us change the materials in our level quickly. I'm using the Polygon Sci-Fi Worlds pack by Synty Studios, and it comes with 5 different material types that can be applied to the environmental meshes. I pointed Claude to those materials and told it to create a drop-down that, when clicked, changes the materials in all the environmental meshes to use that material. Claude's work is done. He's told us that he's created a new script that will automatically initialize when the project restarts, but we can copy this code snippet here and paste it so that we don't need to restart the engine. Let's paste that in the command line in Unreal, run it, and we now see that we have Synty tools at the top. We can change planet type and change it to grass. We have all 5 planet types available. We can change it to core, to corp, to exp, which is the explorer map, or to scav, which is the scavenger map. Let's make the MCP server auto start. If we go to Edit at the top left and go to Editor Preferences, we can search for Model Context Protocol and enable Auto Start Server. Now we don't need to manually launch it. Next, let's enable a terminal window so that we can communicate with Claude within Unreal itself. To do this, let's go back to Edit and go to Plugins so that we can enable the Terminal plugin. Let's search for Terminal. When we find that, enable the Terminal plugin, and again, click Yes since it's experimental, and click Restart Now. You can save selected if you want. Once the engine has restarted, we're now able to open our terminal window to communicate with Claude within Unreal. To do that, let's go to Tools at the top left and clicking the Terminal button. This is going to open a new terminal window. However, we can see that its location is where our Unreal Engine is installed, not our project. Let's go to our project content folder, right-click it, and open in File Explorer. We can then go to the root and right-click that and copy address as text. We need to go back to the terminal in Unreal Engine and click so that we can type. We need to change the drive and directory. To do this, we're going to type cd for change directory, space, /d. The /d is for changing drive since my project is on a different drive than the Unreal Engine version. Then another space, paste, and enter to change our location. It should now be our project location. Since it's an Unreal window, we can dock it, so let's do that now. Then all we need to do to launch Claude is type Claude in the window. Hit enter, and it should come up asking for some permissions. You can go through those real quick. In this case, I'm going to trust it. It also sees the MCP server, so I'm going to tell it to trust it and use it. And it's asking if it can use my browser, which doesn't really matter right now. Let's again ask Claude if he sees the active Unreal Engine session. In this case, he's actually going to fail because we need to log in the first time. He's going to give us an error here that we can read telling us that it failed. All we need to do is type /login. Claude will ask you how you'd like to log in. In this case, I'm going to use my Claude account with a subscription, so I'll click 1. It's then going to open a web browser. If the web browser doesn't open automatically, Claude gives you an URL that you can use. In the web browser, just log in. After you log in, Claude Code will ask to authorize. Go ahead and accept that. You can then close the web browser. If we go back to the terminal in Unreal Engine, we should see that it logged in successfully. Let's hit enter. Now that we're logged in successfully, let's again say hi to Claude and ask if he can see the active Unreal Engine session. You'll also have to accept permissions. It's on manual mode now, but you can click Shift-Tab to set it to auto mode if you'd like. Since I'm on manual, I'm just going to press 2 to accept and not ask again. Now that he's done thinking, Claude has let us know that he can see the active Unreal session. The current state is that the Polygon Sci-Fi Worlds is the open project, and the open level is the demo corporation. He also says that he has full access to all the toolsets. We're now ready to work with Claude Code within Unreal Engine itself. For another test, let's ask if he can modify the lighting in the scene and turn it into a night scene. After we send that command, we can watch Claude think and then watch him work. By the end, we have this completed night scene. Obviously, it still needs to be given the human touch, but as you can see by using AI within Unreal Engine, you can vastly improve your workflow. Thanks for watching. If you found this tutorial useful or helpful, please give us a like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments if you have any other ideas for tutorials you'd like to see. All of the assets used in this tutorial can be found in the description.